That's my wife, May. That's when we met in California, Santa Ana. I took this picture. Yeah, that's the same year we took this picture together.
Tell me how you met Mom. Tell me that story.
Well, how I met Mom, it's a long story. Back in Laos when I was 14, 15, or something like that, there's a Meng Her girl who really liked me. Back then, I'm real good in school. I'm always #1 in school on everything. And a lot of kids needs my help. I help them a lot studying and do homework. So she really liked me, I really like her. The war broke out, and we part. And I thought that maybe she came to the United States before I did. So I went down there and I asked my friends, say, hey, any Meng Her in town? And they said, oh yeah. And they introduced me to your mom. So, yeah, that's our marriage. June 18 or June 20.
Picture of the two of you meeting for the first time, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Was your wedding day a happy day for you?
Yes. That's a happy day for me too.
And how far apart are they? 6 months?
6, 7 months. Mm-hmm. This is December, this is June.
So you courted Mom pretty fast.
Mm-hmm.
And you would send her videotapes or audio tapes?
Yeah, and we write and we call.
Do you remember some of the things that you would say to Mom in the audio tape?
I sure do. But I don't want to tell you guys. It's a secret. Oh, this picture I graduate, and then Mom pregnant with Linda. 1981.
What was it like to be 31 years old with 3 kids?
No. Happy?
Were you stressed out?
No, never stressed. We're always happy to have a kid. So my original plan, we're gonna have 2 kids. But Mom wants 4. Mom wants 2 of each. So I agree. I never argue with Mom. I really want to be a dad. I always want to have my own kid. My only issue is that I will have my own kid without a grandfather.
Do you have any pictures of Grandpa?
No, this is the only one I get. Because when the war broke out, we just lost everything, and I mean, you cannot take many things with you. I'm the 8th kid. Yeah, I'm the 8th kid in the family.
Yeah.
And then I have a baby brother that passed away too. He passed away very young. He passed away maybe it's only 4 and a half or 5. We were in a different state. After we heard the news, it's months after he passed away.
So you weren't with him?
No, my mom remarried. And my dad never remarried. We moved from Siang Kwang to Sumner, to the northern part of Laos. And then, yeah, we had the news broke out that he passed away. Not too long ago, I didn't go search for him. I found his graveyard. He's taller than me. But he don't speak a word to me. I have asked him how he been, but he don't say a word. He's the only brother that I see. My two older brother, I never see them. They passed away before I come out. I have a dream that grandpa come visit me in this house. Yeah, he knocked on the door, I opened the door, and he say, "Oh, I've been to Minnesota visiting your uncle Chi Yang and your cousin Chai Hua, and they told me that you were right on the interstate junction of I-80, I-35, and 235. I'm on my way to California to visit your other uncle, my brother Chai Hua. So I stopped by seeing you." He only say a few words. He say that, and he say, "Oh, I come see you guys and the grandkid, and you guys are well taken care of. You guys are well good, so I'm happy. I'm on my way to California, and I'll go back to Laos." And I just woke up. This picture taken in Thailand, in Vinai refugee camp, Thailand, August 1978.
So right before you came.
Yeah, right before I came to the United States. When the war stopped and the communists took over, which is a lot of outsiders escaped to Thailand by airplane, by foot, by car, and then by boat across the Mekong River. During that time, there's no bridge between Mekong River between Laos to Thailand, so they have to be by boat from across the river. And once the communists took over, it's communists kind of tried to take out the man from the non-communist side to go re-educate. So everybody got scared and they rebuilt. So they found a group as the freedom fighter, and they fought the communists again. So me and my dad, we ended up to escape that to the jungle. We lived through the jungle for a couple of years before I come over. And when we are in the jungle, right now they call Jaffa, and we have to protect our villages, our people. So all the boys and all the men becoming shoulder. And just one day we have a group of young kids, range between 14 to 19 years of age, 16 of us. We have decided that we stay, we're gonna be killed. We go on, we're gonna be killed, but there's a chance we made to Thailand. So we just took off. We walked from Siang Kwang province to Thailand 16 days in 16 nights. And half the way we had no food, but we eat the banana leaf, tree leaf, everything that we can get. And on our way to Thailand, we get a bush and we got shot at it. And we ended up to lose 2 other friends. Of course, we do not know until today that they are alive or not, but we for sure that they got shot to death. And after the communists shot us right there, we separated into 2 groups. But we got one group, we had about 13, and there's one group that only by himself, and the 2 that got shot down on the spot never we never reunite, or we never see them or heard anything from them. So we made it to Thailand.
Can you tell us what happened when you got into Thailand?
The officer is going to send us back to Laos. We told them we are Hmong, we are from the freedom fighter. We cannot let him send us back to Laos. We'll be killed, we'll be beheaded. So one of his workers, middle of the night, will come tell us that, well, you guys need to go to the road and try to get on the bus to go to the refugee camp in Nong Khai. Otherwise, tomorrow my boss will send you back to Laos for sure. And then we do as he's told. And middle of that night, but the officer put us in he have 2 storage home, but the first floor is no wall. You know how Laos and Thai build their home? Yeah. They built 2 storage, but downstairs have nothing, have no wall. And then middle of the night, we move on to the road. And in the morning when the bus comes, we get on the bus. We have no money, but when we get on the bus, they try to collect the money, and we have no money to give. But the guy that come collect the money is kind enough that let us go. And the officer, the guy that tell us to go because his boss is gonna send us back to Laos. And he told me, I'm the only one that speak a little bit of Thai at that time. None of us speak Thai. None of my friends speak Thai. I speak a little Thai, and the guy that understood Laos too. So he told us that 10 or 12 miles down the road, we'll see the Nong Khai refugee camp on the left-hand side. And when I see those walls and I see the refugee camp market in front of them, try to get out the bus and try to walk in the camp one by one, not in a group, so we can make to the camp without recaptured by the Thai official. So I keep watching as he told, and then when we get up there, when the bus stops, we get out. I told all my friends, try to cross the road and try to get into the gate one by one, not a whole group, but they're all scared because they don't speak Thai and Laos. So I tried to be the first one to go through the gate, and they all follow me in a group, so we got captured again. Jail for another month. Yeah, while we were in jail, in the regular jail, there's a drunk lord that got in the jail with us, and I told him the story, our story. He loved us. And, you know, at that time, they only feed us a little food, you know, but he had money. And he's about those officers. I mean, even though he in jail, but they obey him. So he ordered the officer give us more food and more meat and more drink, more water to drink. So we got that. And now till today, I still thank him. I still want to go see him, but I'm not sure I can find him. Yeah, and but he's worked there not very long. 3 days, they bail him out. He had money. But he and his wife still come seeing us and bring us food, and still come demand the officer give us more food.
Every day?
Every day, until we got transported to the refugee camp jail. When we got transported to the refugee camp jail, then they asked us, do we have realty or whatever at the camp, at the refugee camp. So we get out the information, and then that time my mom and my brother-in-law and my sister, they are in Vietnam. They're about probably 150, 200 miles away. They're not in the Nong Khai camp. So my mom, they knew it get to my mom, so my mom come get me. And at that time, my mom and my stepsister already got named. They already got permitted to the United States. Because my older sister and my older brother-in-law are in the United States, in Des Moines here. So my mom will go tell the immigration officer, say, hey, my son made it to Thai now. I want to add him to my family to go on. So my mom just add me to it. So I do not have very much time in Thailand. I spent 1 month, 1 month and a half in Nong Khai, and about 2 weeks in Vinai. And then I spent 2.5 months in Bangkok, Thailand, waiting for my paperwork, immigration paperwork to come. If I would not be that timing, I would go back to get my dad for sure. I would go back to Laos. I would go back to Laos with the group of freedom fighter. And of course, I may get killed. I may made it back to Thailand with my dad, or I may get killed over there in Laos.
So all of you and the boys made a promise to each other, right, to come back?
Yeah, we made promise to each other that once we made to Thailand, we'll get clothes, we'll get food, we'll get supplies, and we'll go back to Laos to get our family out of Laos.
And they were all leaving family members, but
All of them, yeah.
only you were leaving one person.
Right.
Can you tell me the conversation that you had with Grandpa? The one that kind of encouraged you to go? What he said to you?
Well, I told my dad many times, I say, we stay with the freedom fighter group, we're gonna die for sure. We try to make to Thailand, we have 50% chance we made it. And also, either way, we're not gonna live forever, we need to go. We cannot be like this. Or unless we should go and get a white flight out and walk to the communist side and say we give up. And if they kill us right there, be it. They don't, we'll go search for my two uncle, because during that time we have two uncle in Sengkwang, in the communist side. And my dad refused that too, because my dad missed his daughter so much, Tamo and Tapa, Pomo and Papa, that he wants to make it to Thailand, but he just refused to do that. So he told me, son, you're young, and you have a long life ahead of you. You can go, or you do something good in your life. I'm old, I may not live long, and I already lived, he said he already lived his life, so do not worry about him. He probably, I would say probably in 59, 60 that time, he's not very old either. Yeah, he probably in early 60s. But the reason he doing that, because one of his younger brother made it to Laos and said it's going to take him to Thailand, but he didn't.
He left him.
He left him. He left us behind. And that made him a little bit upset or a little bit mad, but I don't know, he should think about himself. And according to my knowledge and my understanding, a group of us, none of us make back to Laos to get our family, because it's totally different story when you make to Thailand. With the 16 days that you suffer through the jungles and the mountain and all that, you give up, you can't. You don't want to put your life at risk, 100% be killed, you go back. Yeah, there's a small percent that you will survive, you go back.
Do you think about Grandpa often?
Yes, every day.
What's something that you wish you could say to him right now, if you could?
I would say I love him, and I would say I'll do everything for him. I would say if he made it to the state here, he would love you guys so much. He would take care of all you guys so much. I miss him much because it's during my childhood. He's in the service. He's in the secret service to General Meng Her, and General Meng Her sent him to the northern part of Laos to recruit and to be a service to the CIA and General Meng Her. So I don't have much time with him during my childhood until 1972, until 1973, 74, 75, and I already grew up like 15, 16, 14, 15, 16, and I spent those years with him. And we spent about 1.5 years up there. When the communists took over, then we come back to Xiangquan. And the most memory of me of him is when we in the jungles for 1.5 years with the freedom fighter. We just move one spot to another every other week, every other month, constantly moving and constantly without no food. We just struggle through together, and we share a little bit of everything together. He's a very compassionate person. He loves and he supports all the poor and all the needed. And he, when his younger age, like in the 20, in his 20 and 30 and 40s, he is a clothing merchant's businessman. He would travel from city to selling clothes and shoes and supplies, and he will give out a lot of free to a lot of people that do not have money to buy. And many people know his name.
What's his name?
Meng Her.
Growing up, I learned about the secret war at the dinner table surrounded by my elders. After sharing a meal of rice, boiled chicken with homegrown herbs and stir-fried vegetables, the woman would clean the tables and wash the dishes. They would catch up on present daily life while the men reminisced of an old life before and during the war. I would hear stories of hundreds of Hmong men who would sacrifice their lives to save one army pilot. I would hear stories about how quick the Hmong soldiers were because of their stature, or how my great-grandfather was blessed because he was able to capture a magical rhino that allowed him to live to be 111 years old. These stories have stayed with me. In middle school, I would make the connection that the secret war I knew was what everyone else called the Vietnam War. Never once did I hear my stories in the classroom. The history of my people were invisible. It was invisible in the school's curriculum, and oftentimes, the stories and histories of those who are not white, who are not European descents, are ignored. Dr. Noreen Nassim Rodriguez writes, "The recognition of these histories through inclusion in the school curriculum and the popular imagination could be a powerful way to disrupt normative whiteness and xenophobia." Former Governor Bob Ray had his own way, a very powerful way, to disrupt the status quo. In July 1975, President Ford wrote every governor asking for their help to resettle Southeast Asian refugees. Governor Bob Ray responded to this call. Many did not agree with this idea to resettle refugees in Iowa, but he chose to humanize and empathize with those he knew very little about. Because of Governor Bob Ray, Iowa is the only state in the U.S. with a federally funded refugee resettlement program. Iowa is more rich because of the people who have come to make this place home. People who have come from all over the world, Southeast Asia, Africa, Central America, the Middle East, Eastern Europe, everywhere, even other parts of America. We get to experience all kinds of food and culture because someone was brave enough to say, I see you, welcome home. This is the legacy of Bob Ray. Meng Her. My dad is Chu Meng Her. He never made it back for his dad. None of the young men made it back. None got to say goodbye, I love you. And for over 40 years, my dad would carry this burden and the shame of not being able to save his own dad at the age of 16. The shame of not returning and the shame of knowing that his dad died alone in the jungles with no family. It's taken him a long time, but his resilience and grit remind him that he did what his dad wanted for him. He did fall in love. He is a father to 4 children and a grandfather to 2. He has outlived his own father in earthly years, and he has survived a heart attack and most recently recovered from COVID-19. My mom is Meng Her. She is the eldest daughter of a shaman master, She taught me how to make extraordinary things from the ordinary. My grandfather is Her, and today I honor his legacy. I am Meng. I am the daughter of refugees, and I am a freedom fighter. Was created to honor the stories that are oftentimes left out of the narrative or not told authentically. The Legacy Collection is for the people, by the people. Think about the stories you hear and you read and you watch on TV, the histories that you learn. Think about the legacies that you honor, the legacies you hear about. Who are the main characters? What do they look like? What are their names? Who's the protagonist? Do they look like you? Or do they look like me? Do they share a similar background as you? Mitsuya Yamada, a Japanese-American activist, writer, and professor, shares, to finally recognize our own invisibility is to finally be on the path toward visibility. Invisibility is not a natural state for anyone. Stories are the catalyst for humanizing and empathizing those who we call other. them. Stories connect us and remind us that we are not invisible. We are not forgotten. Stories are the histories we learn, the legacies we honor, and sometimes stories are the only things we get to leave behind, and that's a beautiful thing. But we know not every story gets to be told by the authentic teller. Not every history is learned, so what can we do? We lean into showing up, listening, and letting people tell their own stories. Because when people share their own stories, communities thrive. Communities come together. Friends. This can be our collective legacy, where we honor all the individuals who make up our community. We can do this by showing up and by listening. The first phase of the legacy collection aims to collect and preserve stories of those who have refugee and immigrant heritage. If you are someone who comes from this rich history, and if you want to share your story, we are here. We see you, we hear you, and we love you. It's time to collect.